Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Pi Day, March 14th, 2024, and news that just broke about 30 or so minutes ago. The younger brother of NBA star, former Duke Blue Devil basketball star RJ Barrett has passed away. And we're going to talk about how this news broke right as the Duke ACC tournament game was tipping off. Again, RJ Barrett went to Duke. We're on the verge of March Madness. Duke's, about a top 10 team this season. I think they're ranked 11th in the national poll right now. Duke's sitting there with that 24-7 record while the country's 247 years old. But we're going to talk about why RJ Barrett's younger brother, Nathan Barrett, is announced dead 142 days into the NBA season. It goes along with the same reason in the headlines today. You're seeing an appeals court overturn the murder conviction against music artist Vibes Cartel, who's born Adidja Azim Palmer. And again, if you're new here, just to warm you up, we talk about how every day you learn this little simple code of ABC 123. You see through everything going on in the news: sports, news, politics, rigged elections, rigged Oscars, all of it. And just to warm up, again, John Cena, everyone's so captivated with the John Cena ritual this past Sunday at the Oscars on the 70th day of the year. Again, the same thing that we're talking about applies to all these news. It's what I've been educating about every single day for over a decade. How if you just learn this little simple code, you see through every last ritual they're doing. And again, look at just this past Sunday, meaningless story. Seemingly meaningless. John Cena, practically naked, presenting costume design at the Oscars. And you can see it was the 70th day of the year in Gematria. ABC is 123. John Cena becomes 70, like a little simple math problem. And if you apply ABC 123 with numerology, Oppenheimer, for example, equals 70. And that movie Oppenheimer dominated on the 70th day of the year, winning 7 awards. But the big kicker with the John Cena thing is that it was exactly 46 weeks after his 46th birthday, and Academy Awards equals 46. But better than that, it paid tribute to the 1946 Academy Awards, where a streaker ran on the stage. So they said this was John Cena's form of streaking at the Oscars, something that hadn't happened since the 46th, only for this to be exactly 46 weeks after his 46th birthday, which should tell you that he didn't come up with it, right? I mean, this is just too perfectly scripted, his name. And don't they tell you that they change people's names in Hollywood? Haven't we known that since we're children, that so many actors change their name to have something more Hollywood? Like, what's Tom Cruise's real name? I forget his last name. It's something crazy. It's like Thoppenheimer or something. It's probably not quite that. I'm just thinking Oppenheimer at the same time. But you look at Tom Cruise's real last name. It might be like Mopather or something like that. It's not Cruise, though. Anyway, news by the numbers all day, every day. So, again, RJ Barrett's younger brother, Nathan Barrett, whose name equals 142 in Gematria, is dead 142 days after the season began on October 24th. And again, October 24th is interesting because it's the day leaving 68 days left in the year. And if you're new here, Gematria is very simple. It's the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. That's where Nathan Barrett's 142. But then there's 3 other ciphers based off the alphabetic order, and you want to know all 3. And we're going to make the point over and over as we do day after day. The alphabetic order in reverse, and both orders with numerology. These are the 4 base ciphers. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, RJ Barrett equals 68, like Orlando Magic. If you're asking why Orlando Magic's up there, it's because his next game's against the Orlando Magic, and they've been connected to fateful things in history, like, say, Kobe Bryant won his 4th championship against the Magic, and then he died. And then LeBron won his 4th championship in the Magic City, Orlando. And we won't even talk about how it was synced up with Magic Johnson. But let's not forget that Kobe fell to 4th in points scored all time the day before he died when LeBron passed him in Kobe's hometown, Philly, dribbling over black snakes on that court, like the Black Mamba. Anyway, RJ Barrett, 68, like Orlando Magic, like Catholicism, like solar system, like mathematics. And I don't know how I forgot to put it up there. Wow, talk about a major omission. Well, I'm going to have to break out the calculator now. I have the biggest omission in the history of omissions up there. The list is almost seemingly nonsensical if you don't know the history and you don't know that basketball also equates to 68. Basketball 68. We're going to come back to the 85, the 22. The only one we're going to skip over in this video is the 185, but we talked about that number plenty of times with basketball as well. So anyhow, RJ Barrett equals 68 in that same cipher. Basketball 68. See, if I write out RJ Barrett, it's going to be the exact same cipher. RJ Barrett 68. Basketball. And again, same with all these words. Mathematics, solar system, Catholicism. Now, the reason that part's the most important part to know is think about March Madness right now, right? We're going to see how both basketball and Duke University, where RJ Barrett went, were both 68 and 85. We're coming up on the 85th all-time March Madness tournament, but it changed its name to March Madness in 85. And in more recent years, they made it so that there's 68 teams in the tournament, right? And again, I was just making the point about Kobe's death and what LeBron did in Orlando. Kobe died while traveling from Catholic Mass. And if you don't know this, Kobe Bryant equals 41, died on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. Again, the calendar we're on, the Gregorian calendar, it was created by a Jesuit priest, Christopher Clavius. And I covered this again most recently on the anniversary of the Gregorian calendar going into effect, which was February 24th in history. Notice that was on the 337th day of Christopher Clavius's age, which is the 68th prime number, right? The 68th prime number, 337th day of the calendar designer's age. Again, a Jesuit priest. Again, it's the Jesuits who gave us the calendar and the language and who clearly run the sports. That's why the first March Madness in 85 was the Catholic school Villanova over the Jesuit school Georgetown. And we all remember what they did to John Thompson in recent years in a big Jesuit Sunday ritual, R.I.P. And then renamed the quarter after him 666 days later, which we'll come back to. But this 68 number is huge. And if you're new here, I always talk about the year 1968 and all the agendas that went into motion in 68. It's not an accident that coronavirus was coined in 68 or fentanyl was approved in 68 by the FDA or that 911 was made the emergency dialing code or that World Trade Center construction began in New York or that MLK and RFK were assassinated in major Jesuit rituals. Case in point, MLK killed on the 95th day of the year when he was named after Martin Luther, who wrote the 95 Theses, which brought about the Jesuits in history in the 16th century. So anyway, the 68 thing, it's huge. And this year, the season began on the day leaving 68 days left in the year, right? So the season begins on the day leaving 68 days left in the year, October 24th. 68 is this big basketball number that fits with RJ Barrett. Now his brother's dead exactly 142 days into the season. And again, right as his former college is tipping off in their tournament. And Duke University's got the 68 and 85, like basketball. Again, this year's tournament will be the 85th edition of the tournament. March Madness, the name began in 1985. And, you know, this year, Arizona's hosting the Final Four, and Arizona's great coach was Lute Olson, who died recently at age 85. Phoenix, Arizona also equals 85. It's going to be in the Phoenix area, actually in the suburb Glendale, but that's the greater Phoenix area. And let's not forget, before the Arizona beat the Sun Devils recently, I said, before the game was played, I said, let's watch to see if Arizona beats Arizona State with 85, since it's Arizona State, the Sun Devils, that's technically hosting the Final Four. And Sun Devils, Catholic Church, look into history. The Pope actually visited the Arizona State Sun Devils. I can't remember if it was in 1985. I might have to go back and check that part out. But yeah, anyhow, the brother who's dead is Nathan. And notice how Nathan's 22 like basketball, like Boston, who played in their 22nd championship in 22 that was perfectly synced with the Pope. They fell to 17-5 in championships, like Golden State's 175, like Pope Francis's 175. Like right after that championship, Bill Russell died, who was Jesuit educated at University of San Francisco and who played for the Boston Celtics. Again, the San Francisco team had just beaten Boston. Not to mention San Francisco is named after St. Francis of Assisi, like Pope Francis. But yeah, also just a weird thing. Nathan Barrett, 52 and 83, like NC State Wolfpack, who Duke's tipping off against right as the game's announced. And the thing about it being an all North Carolina matchup, again, Duke's in Durham, North Carolina. You got this all North Carolina matchup, right? And whose birthday is it today? You know, Carolina's big with basketball, right? So many big stars connected to Carolina in basketball. Jordan went to UNC. Kobe drafted by Charlotte, the Hornets, then sent over to the Lakers for old Vlade Divac. Oh, man, the NBA. But anyway, another big face of the league, Steph Curry, has that Carolina connection. You know, he's a big Panthers fan. He was down there beating the field for the Panthers in the game in San Francisco, the Super Bowl, rigged one against Peyton Manning, where he rode off into the sunset in his 18 jersey in his 18th season, starting the game off with an 18-yard wounded duck to number 81 in a Super Bowl that we called everything about. Who'd win it, what two teams, who'd be the MVP, what the halftime show would be in week 3 of that NFL season, which USA Today wrote their hit piece on, trying to slander my name for exposing what we've been exposing. R.I.P. to Huey P. Newton. That was the Huey P. Newton Bowl. Huey P. Newton, 58, dead the same year Cam Newton was born. Cam Newton became the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl. Von Miller, number 58, becomes the MVP, drafted 1 pick after Cam Newton. Anyway, coming back to this. Steph Curry was at that Super Bowl beating on the drum. And notice today Steph Curry turns 36 years old. Now, think about this. Steph Curry, R.J. Barrett, college basketball stars out of Carolina colleges. Steph Curry met his wife in Toronto because his dad used to play for the Raptors. Dell Curry used to play for the Toronto Raptors. Steph Curry lost by the numbers in the finals to Toronto in the 72nd anniversary season, the 73rd overall season, when his birthday is typically the 73rd day of the year, Pi Day. But look, Steph Curry turned 36 today, and we call Toronto the 36th city. 36 has a square root of 6. Drake calls it the 6. The Raptors beat the Warriors in Game 6. So alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology applied. Toronto's 36 both ways. That's what we call it, the 36th city. We've called it that forever. We've been using 36 in Toronto in sports a million times. But if you run the alphabetic order in reverse without numerology applied, Toronto's 72. And again, Toronto won that 72nd anniversary season. 3 years later, the Warriors were in the 75th anniversary season with the big 75 on the court. They gave Boston their 75th home loss in the playoffs, and the Warriors improved to 7-5 in the finals. And the city of San Francisco also won the 75th NFL season. May? Oh, you're home early. Oh, okay. Okay. The sweet love is home. All right. Well, that means I got to wrap this up. So anyway, Steph Curry, 36 today, right? And he's turning 36. Duke's starting their ACC tournament. And R.J. Barrett's brother is dead by the numbers. And again, that's just clockwork. We're documenting these rituals year after year. And I don't know how people don't see it. You know, the other year, Ben Simmons goes number 1 overall. How many years into the NBA is he? And he still hasn't figured out how to shoot a free throw? I mean, how much money is he making a year? Like, I don't even know. Over $30 million a year, still hasn't figured out how to shoot free throws, but went number 1 overall in the NBA. But the point I'm making is he went number 1 overall, and then what happened that night? During the draft, they were showing how he brought his cousin. The headline breaks that night that his cousin got ran over by a car in traffic. It's like, come on, man. The night he's at the NBA draft on TV with his cousin going number 1, who can't shoot free throws. And let's not forget that we called exactly how the Ben Simmons trade would go down. You guys remember that? When he was the 76ers trade on 10/2, the anniversary of Black History Month, being recognized in 76, when slave equals 76 and slavery equals 102. They'd trade him on 10/2, 76ers. Again, for people who don't know, Gerald Ford and the federal government recognized Black History Month in the year 76 on 10/2. And then this year you had Carl Weathers die right at the start of Black History Month at age 76. And they shame Hootie and the Blowfish singer in a 102/76 ritual. Rucker is 76, and it was 102 days from his birthday. And then they even told you that it was from charges that were from a long time ago, but they just decided to do it on the first day of Black History Month. It's like, come on, man. But yeah, the other big piece about this is, like I'm always educating about, it's the Catholic Church. It's the Jesuit cabal who've been warned about for centuries, who've been rumored to be killers. Again, killing by a code. Today is the 74th day of the year because it's a leap year, and we've educated about this a gazillion times. Just all the deaths in 74, from famous rappers to famous entertainers to famous presidents. 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents dead on 7/4. Again, there's a song out there called Gematria, the killing name. Gematria equals 74. Killing equals 74. English equals 74. Occult equals 74. Masonic 74. The word stabbing equals 74, and the Ides of March, March 15th, which is typically the 74th day of the year in non-leap years. This year it's a day off because it's a leap year. So this year today's the 74th day. But again, the Ides of March is to remember the stabbing of Caesar by killing. And the big headline today in the U.S. is that Chuck Schumer of the Senate is telling Netanyahu to step down while he's 74. Again, Caesar was killed in the Senate. Netanyahu's 74. In Detroit, Samantha Wool, the Jewish woman connected to the big politicians, the attorney general and the governor in the state of Michigan, she was stabbed to death on the 74th birthday of Netanyahu. The word Jewish is also 74. And you think about that with the NBA. Again, you think about what it says about the synagogue of Satan in Revelation, those who claim to be Jews but are not. You think about the description of the oldest Jew in the Bible, Methuselah. He's the black man. You think about the only physical description of Jesus in the Bible, Revelation 1:14 through 15. A man with dark skin and hair like wool. It's like, where did this image of white Jesus come from? Oh, that's right. They killed Tupac on Caesar Borgia's birthday, who white Jesus is modeled after. And then they put out Tupac on the cross like Jesus on November 5th, the Jesuit High Holy Day, Guy Fawkes Day. And by the way Tupac spelled the alias Machiavelli, Makaveli, that equals 74, like Jesus, like cross, like Messiah, like gospel, like parables, like Tupac, like Roman. All roads lead to Rome, again, like killing. And here we are on the 74th day of the year. It's the death of another young black son of God, which all people are, no matter what their race is. Again, it's just, they do all this stuff to just keep people divided and fighting over nonsense. And they love to just hide the truth in front of everyone's face, too. I mean, there's only one part left in the Bible, which the Catholic Church gave us as we know it. And it's got a physical description of a dark man with hair like wool. And a lot of people will be like, they only describe the white like wool part to describe the white color. It's like, really? That's an interesting interpretation in your mind. So what about the dark skin part in the next part of the verse? So the hair like wool is a coincidence, but then the dark skin, you still think it's white Jesus who went to the Bahamas. Anyway, as I'm always talking about, you guys, it's the Jesuits, it's the Jesuits. And notice, today is 274 days after R.J. Barrett's birthday. 274 days. I mean, it tells you everything when you know what you're looking at. Again, this is what consciousness is. If you have no idea about this knowledge or that these patterns or rituals exist, it doesn't mean anything. But you're like, oh, wow, this guy's been educating about 274 in the Catholic Church for about 10 bazillion years. At least it feels that way, even though it's been more than a decade. We've done so many examples, it counts as 10 bazillion years of research. But again, the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, equates to 274. That's what's in their logo. The sun with the Templar cross and the 3 nails that Jesus was crucified with, and the IHS for Isus Hominum Salvator. And you run it backwards, it equals 266, like we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, who's the 266th, who spoke in Washington, D.C. on the 266th day of the year. But again, it's more than words and numbers. It's the year 274 AD that the Roman Catholic Church began celebrating the sun in the sky's birthday on 12/25, what we now call Christmas. And then they began celebrating Jesus' birthday on the same day in the year 320 AD. And Roman Catholic Church equals 320. Remember what they did to George Floyd? They pulled him out of Mercedes-Benz ML320, and then they killed him in the Twin Cities that are very Catholic in front of police cruiser 320 in a massive Jesuit ritual, by the numbers that I've written a book about and done 500 videos on, to divide the nation on Memorial Day, which came out of the Civil War when the nation was divided. And there's 1,000 more layers to this. If you guys are new here, just go back and watch my other videos on things like George Floyd, and it'll really start to sink in what I'm talking about here in this video. But this is a big Jesuit number, 274. And it's not an accident that it's also 274 days after R.J. Barrett's birthday. Okay? That's not an accident. On the 74th day of the year. Isus Hominum Salvator means Jesus, Savior of man in English. Jesus equals 74, who died on the cross for your sins, right? This is the story that you're meant to believe in or get the eternal punishment, because it's all fear-based from the Catholic Church, whether it's religion or the news they control, or, the latest scare thing, whether it's germs or terrorists at any corner, or Russians or communists or transgender people, or just all the new boogeymans they're constantly creating, right? Literally, just the Jesuit fingerprints over all of these things. But, of course, the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, also equals 85. And again, so does basketball. About to have the 85th March Madness. Catholic school beat the Jesuit school. In the first year, they used the term March Madness, which was 1985. Villanova over Georgetown. Catholic over Jesuit. But other words that equal 85 are Christ and crucify. So again, just think about that. Think about that. How it all fits together. And we've talked about these same types of rituals with many other black men in the NBA, entertainment, hip-hop, politics. I mean, my last book, Number Games, begins with the latest black politician crucified by the 74 Code. It just happened right as I was putting the book out, so I just tucked it in the beginning. I mean, if I put out a new book every month, I could probably tuck in an example almost every month of the latest crucifixion of a black celebrity by the same code. I could probably do it almost every single month if I was able to publish a book each month. That's why I'm just like blown away to have presented these things this many times, and like it's like, how's the world not caught on yet? But yeah, the Raptors are about to host Orlando. And don't even get me started on the Pulse nightclub shooting, and then LeBron getting criticized the next day for wearing an Undertaker t-shirt, or him wearing the Ultimate Warrior t-shirt on the anniversary of the death of the Ultimate Warrior. But I just want you to see the way Orlando and murder overlap here. Orlando, 79-34, 38, like murder. And the murder also has 83, like the song 1983 came out. Or like the song Murder by Numbers. It was in the year 1983 that song came out. And again, the man who's dead today is Nathan Barrett, whose name equals 83, like NC State Wolfpack, who, again, Duke is tipping off against right now. We talked about how NC State Wolfpack's 52 and 83 in the same ciphers as Nathan Barrett. And again, he's dead 142 days into the season. But again, it's just people who have the fateful numbers in their name often end up in stories like these if they're related to people in the world of celebrity. And again, here's Duke right now, his former school, 24-7, right? Tipping off. Again, literally they're in the quarterfinal for their tournament right as the news breaks. 24-7. We've been talking about that number pattern all year, 247, while the country's 247, while the Illuminati's also 247. Again, the Illuminati will turn 248 on May 1st, and then the country will turn 248 on 7/4, July 4th. Let's not forget that holiday and Independence Day equals 74, like killing again, going with 3 of the first 5 presidents dying back then. But yeah, if you guys forgot, May 1st, 2023, we capitalized on a really big upset in the NBA. The 76ers were 13.5-point underdogs to the Celtics that day, and there were 2 247s that played against the Celtics in the series record, their playoff all-time record, and their record head-to-head with Philadelphia. 2 247s played against them on the Illuminati's 247th birthday, again against the 76ers when the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt in 1776. The Duke Blue Devils. RJ Barrett's got the same birthday as the flag, June 14th. It's also the same birthday as Donald Trump, who they got fulfilling the Grover Cleveland ritual right now. Most people don't recognize any of it. But yeah, those were the main points with the RJ Barrett brother passing, announced again right at tip-off, right as March Madness is about to get underway. And if you want to join us, we're going to be covering March Madness all the way through, doing our pre-tournament, discussion. And there's a couple teams we really got our eyes on, and we're going to see how the bracket lines, if they can meet in the championship. But yeah, these are the rituals that lead to the rigged outcomes. You guys might remember the other year when Virginia won it. I put it out for free that year. In February, Justin Fairfax, the lieutenant governor of Virginia, the news broke on the night of a Duke game versus Virginia that he had raped a girl at Duke. And we're like, look at the way his name lines up with the championship date. And Virginia went out to a 16 seed as a 1 seed. If you guys remember that, when Virginia lost to University of Maryland, Baltimore County, that was the 136th time in the men's tournament that a 16 had played a 1. The game was on the 16th of March. First time a 16 seed won, but it matters that it was the 136th time because if you add 1 through 16 together, it equals 136. So if Virginia loses the rig game and then the very next year they go back and win the championship, synced up with the ritual of Justin Fairfax and also Tony Bennett, their coach, who has the same name as the musician. Try it out. You'll see Virginia and Virginia Cavaliers both equal 89. Again, that's why you got to know the ciphers, and you pay attention year after year. You'll have no doubt this is the system. But Virginia's 89. Virginia Cavaliers is 89. And the year that Virginia won it, Tony Bennett was on 89 losses going into the tournament, and he stayed on 89 losses all the way through, winning the championship on a symbolic number to the state and the team. If you go back and look at just the other year when Kansas won, that was the 83rd tournament. They were the only team to score 83 in the opening round. They won that tournament 65 days after the state's birthday. And go back and watch my video on it. It's still up on Gematria Effect Sports. I'll show you how every single one of these Kansas numbers perfectly factored into the ritual. And Danny Manning, who was in attendance, who's Kansas alum. Again, you guys, this is the system that the scripts are written by, that the ritual sacrifices occur by. That's why there's the song out there, Gematria, the killing name. And this is what it looks like day after day, you know. But it's more than the killing name. Again, it's the Kabbalistic code, and Kabbalah is where the term the cabal comes from, the secret, you know, society, the political faction, the hidden hands. But yeah, think about it. Today's date can be written 14/3. That's how they write in the UK. 14/3 or like 143. Dancehall artist who's famous over there, Vibes Cartel, you know, he gets his murder conviction overturned on 14/3. Again, just day after day. You look at the headlines, you see the rituals. Like we started with John Cena, why he was the ritual on the 70th day of the year as Oppenheimer won big. And again, how it happened exactly 46 weeks after his 46th birthday when Academy Awards was 46, and the ritual paid tribute to the 46th Academy Awards, which had a streaker. And go figure, that was in the year 74, right? And just also for Major League Sports rituals and the Jesuits, never forget that Joe Burrow transferred to LSU right before Billy Cannon died on Cannonball Day, which is something celebrated by the Jesuits. It's every year on May 20th. Recently, we saw Adolfo Nicolas, the former Black Pope, which is the Black Pope's the superior general, the leader of the Jesuits. The former Black Pope died on May 20th, 2020 in Japan on Cannonball Day. And then the next year, the first Jesuit Ignatian year began on Cannonball Day. But when Billy Cannon died on Cannonball Day, Joe Burrow had just transferred to LSU. And again, Billy Cannon and Joe Burrow are the only two LSU players to ever win the Heisman. And Joe Burrow, just like Billy Cannon, beat Clemson in the championship in New Orleans. And then when Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, he played all four teams that Billy Cannon had an NFL connection to. He beat the Raiders. He beat the Titans, who were the Oilers in Billy Cannon's day, same franchise. Tennessee Titans used to be the Houston Oilers. The Kansas City Chiefs, and the Rams in the Super Bowl. Well, he didn't, actually, I take it back. He didn't beat the Rams, but he played all four of Billy Cannon's teams. He beat all three of the teams in the AFC and then lost to the Rams in the Super Bowl. And the Rams are who drafted Billy Cannon into the NFL. But anyway, look at this with Judge Cannon, right? Judge Cannon has Donald Trump, who's Jesuit educated, in court May 20th, Billy Cannon Day. Look at this article from right when Joe Burrow transferred to LSU. They referred to him as the Bayou Bengal. The Bayou Bengal transfers to LSU. I mean, come on. And then he goes to the Super Bowl in this Billy Cannon ritual with the Bengals. And let's not forget that the Bengals pattern is like the metal stripe that the Russians wear. And the Bengals lost to the Rams, who have the same colors as Ukraine. And Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, after he won the Super Bowl, goes on TV with his Ukrainian fiance. And then the war starts with Russia and Ukraine just days later. And again, the ram is the god of war, Ares. And then the NATO met about it for the first time, the war, when Ares started. It was as bad as when Scottie Pippen lost his son at age 33 on the first day of Taurus the Bull. What was that? The 1 year anniversary of them putting out that series about Jordan and Pippen and the Bulls, Last Dance or whatever it was called. If the NBA wasn't fake, Scottie Pippen would have been 10 times better than Jordan. Anyway, Judge Cannon, 45 forwards, 54 in reverse. Of course, Donald Trump, number 45, called the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, when Berlin Wall's 45, when he ran on building a wall and ran on Reagan's campaign, who said to tear down the Berlin Wall. Nothing but jokes. But Judge Cannon, 54, the other way, and this is the point I want to make about the 54. Again, the ritual with Joe Burrow, Billy Cannon. When Joe Burrow won the championship in New Orleans, which equals 54, he did it on January 13th, 2020, which was a date with 54 numerology. And then he took the Bengals to the Super Bowl in their 54th season. Again, Jesuit order equals 54. So does sun. Their symbol's the sun. They began as a sun cult. John Carroll equals 54. He established the first Jesuit university, Georgetown, when he was 54 years old. 54 is big with the Jesuits is the point. Judge Cannon, 54, in this obvious Jesuit ritual, which seemingly factors into Joe Burrow. And here, just to show you another example of just how it works with the base ciphers. When the former, well, there's a lot of things that can be shown here. But here, just Adolfo Nicholas, when he died on Billy Cannon Day, again, this is the former leader of the Jesuits. He died at age 84. Superior General equals 84, like Jesuit. By the way, this year, the basketball championships on the date that can be written 8/4, the date of the total solar eclipse in America. And the Jesuit logo also does show an eclipsed sun, but Barrett equals 84. In case Duke goes that far, I got to be honest, before this RJ Barrett thing, I didn't have Duke in my top 4 narratives for the championship, but this is what we're going to be talking about when we start our streams. So for those of you guys who like to do your own research, you can start digging more into Duke. This is a big sacrifice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Duke's going to be in the championship. It still needs more homework. I'm just telling you one more thing to know right now. Barrett equals 84, Arizona 84, championship in Arizona on 8/4. By the way, if you guys missed my video, you can go back and watch how we said watch to see if Arizona beats Arizona State with 85, and sure enough, they did. Because we've been calling out sports scores and outcomes for a long time. We know how scripted it is. We don't have any question marks about it over here. If you still got questions and marks about it, you might be a little bit slow, but we're trying to help you catch up. Anyhow, this 84 number is huge with the Jesuits. Their founder, Ignatius Loyola, died 84 days from his birthday in history. The first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, got 84 birth numerology. So the Superior General dying at 84 matters. There's other things here. There's a lot that I could point out here, but he died 191 days after the current Superior General's birthday. The formal title of the Jesuits is Society of Jesus 191, which is the 43rd prime, and Jesus Christ equals 43, and science says they trace Jesus' crucifixion to April 3rd. It's another story. But here's what I wanted to see. May 20th is the day leaving. 225 days left in the year. Adolfo Nicholas, 225. Adolfo Nicholas and Jesuit order, both 54 and 72. Again, sun equals 54. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. And Japan is the land of the rising sun. Like, Japan's almost a full day ahead of America. They just put out that new show. Again, this 72 thing. The first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, he became the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year, March 13th, 2013. They just put out that new show, Shogun, on the 58th day of the year, which is funny because Pope Francis equals 58, and he became a Jesuit in 1958. And again, he's the first Jesuit Pope. But that was 72 days after Pope Francis's birthday that they put out this show, Shogun, about Japan, which begins with the conflict with the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, and the Protestants in Europe. And some Protestants arriving in Japan, which was the Catholic Church's best-kept secret. So, again, the Jesuits have been in Japan for longer than the United States of America has existed. And that's why we use Japan in such big rituals, including Pearl Harbor Day, including a lot of things, including that earthquake to start the year. On the same day, there's one in L.A. right after the Japanese star goes from the Angels to the Dodgers. And again, people still don't get it, even though in 1989 they had the perfect earthquake by the numbers for the World Series in the Bay between Oakland and San Francisco. Again, Jesse Ventura came out and told you long time ago, they plant big bombs by fault lines for experimentation. If you guys saw that article about RFK Jr., Jesuit educated Georgetown Prep, considering Aaron Charles Rogers or Jesse Ventura for his VP, it's all by the numbers too, man. Oh my God. That was on the 72nd day of the year. Aaron Rodgers, here, look at this. On the 72nd day of the year, the New York Times, run by Jesuits, puts out a story that again, they're considering that Jesuit educated RFK Jr. is considering Aaron Rodgers for his VP. 72nd day of the year, but this year it was March 12th because it was a leap year. Look at Aaron Rodgers with his middle name, Aaron Charles Rodgers. Okay, 312, March 12th. That was the New York Times headline. Then everyone syndicated it. 312, and of course the 201, right? 201, like the Jesuit order, like how he went down this year on 9/11 in the 201 area code. Two towers became zero before they became one. The Jesuit Georgetown mottos both into one. But yeah, the thing about Aaron Rodgers, did you see the headline yesterday for Aaron Rodgers? Yesterday, they accused him of being a Sandy Hook conspiracy theorist on the anniversary of the Dunblane massacre, which is what Sandy Hook was compared to because they were both the targeting of first graders. But did you know those two attacks? And by the way, they say the British tennis star Andy Murray, they say he survived the Dunblane attack on March 13th, 96. But look at this, you guys. Dunblane and Sandy Hook, two events compared, and now the Aaron Rodgers story on the anniversary of the Dunblane massacre. Look at this. It was 1996, March 13th, when Dunblane happened. If you don't know about Dunblane, look it up. It got gun rights taken away in the UK. It was so bad. And they tried to do the same thing after Sandy Hook. But look at this. December 14th, 2012, Sandy Hook. Look at this. 201 months. And then the 612 thing matters too. Google took down all my information on 612 and mass shootings. I mean, for some reason they really don't like us educating about the 612 thing. But here, we're just going to stick with the 201 for right now. And again, the Jesuit Order 201, their formal title, Society of Jesus, is 56. Sandy Hook was established in 1956. The shooting in 2012, 56 years later. The shooter, Adam Peter Lanza. You see the 56 and the 79, like Society of Jesus. Here, let me rewind and show you something else. If my brain can cooperate with me. What did I just want to say? Shoot. Here, let me rewind and see if it comes back to me. I know there was an important point I wanted to make. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. Adam Lanza, without the middle name. Adam Lanza. You see the 7328? 7328. Look at how Dunblane is 7328. And again, the shooting happened on the 73rd day of the year because it happened in a leap year on March 13th. Sandy Hook is on the 73rd meridian west, not far from New York City, which had, Hurricane Sandy, which is a whole nother thing to explain. But anyway, you see how Dunblane is 73 and 28 like Adam Lanza? Now watch what happens when I write out Packers. And of course, Aaron Rodgers is really connected to the Packers, who were settled by Vince Lombardi, the Jesuit, who died unexpectedly at Georgetown. But you see how Packers is 73 and 28? So I just want you to think about it. On the 73rd day of the year, on the 28th anniversary of Dunblane, headlines all over that Aaron Rodgers is a Sandy Hook conspiracy theorist. And I've been showing... Well, hey, by the way, you remember when Aaron Rodgers went against the jab in the pandemic and all this stuff, and he became public enemy number one? Go back and look at what day that news broke. You'll see it was November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And then he was having the conversation with Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was doing his 56 virus rituals. And if you guys don't know about my work on 56 and the virus, again, why don't you just come to the website and look into reading my books? Seriously. I mean, everyone, and I've made them free to download as well. You can purchase them, which I appreciate. If you want them for free, just search those titles for books. And my name's Zachary K. Hubbard. And then also write the word subscribe star, and it'll take you to a splash page where you can just download them for free. You don't have to put in any information, no emails, no nothing. You can just download the books, or you can buy them from my website, which I also appreciate. And if you want it in physical form, Number Games, the full version's on Amazon. Woman Ann has put out the first 10 chapters of my book, Letters and Numbers. She's selling it on Amazon. She's selling it in my name, which I gave her permission to do. And again, I hope it sells well and she gets some funds and she can help me out with a future book project. I'm going to talk about something personal in my own life in the not too distant future, and why I need to get a lot of things done before November. I have a real timeline in life, and November. I got to get a lot done by November. So I want to bang out a lot of young children's books that teach gematria in a fun way. Because again, they're the ones that are most open-minded who can actually absorb this information. There has to be something done to make a spark happen in the world for people to see what's going on. Again, there shouldn't be, it's great that young people aspire to be great things and they have dreams of being, say, an NBA star or a great, well, in the professions, you're not really idolizing celebrity, but it's good when young people have big aspirations, including being a sports star and entertainer. They want to be great. So they're practicing, they're working hard. But at the same time, all these young people that want to be the next Steph Curry, they need to realize that you get in the NBA, this league is not what you think. You could end up being one of the many players who've died prematurely. And let's not forget the other year for the NBA draft when they had all the draftees wear a necklace if they'd lost a parent. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. It was we were that year we were just like, this is unbelievable. All like over half the first round picks came up wearing a necklace with a picture of either their dead mother or father, or several of them it was both. You know, they had the double picture with the mother and the father. It's like, doesn't anyone like look at this and go, wait a minute, how many like 19, 20, 21-year-olds have lost a parent already? And needless to say, even both of them. And again, it's because sacrifice is a real thing about getting on this NBA stage. And that's why we're here documenting day after day. And I can't keep up with all of it, you know? There's a Cincinnati Red who just died in a big Jesuit ritual, older guy. No one's going to care. The thing they're doing with Steve Garvey and the Dodgers and Padres is hilarious. Steve Garvey just became the front runner to become the senator in California. He's going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, except for he was even the governor. But Steve Garvey, who played for the Dodgers and Padres, by the numbers, gets announced as the front runner to replace Dianne Feinstein, who died in a big old ritual, died on 9/29 when there's 929 chapters in the Old Testament. Of course, Dianne Feinstein was Jewish. But again, Garvey played for the Dodgers and Padres. Dodgers and Padres opened spring training this year, the very first games of the MLB season. Dodgers and Padres, Garvey's teams. Dodgers won 14-1 right before their 141st season begins, 1-4-1. And then they're going to open the season a week before everybody else in Korea with a doubleheader. Dodgers and Padres, all synced up with Steve Garvey. And you know, the election's going to be in the time of the World Series. It's just, and year after year, we're showing how the politics are connected, the sports, how the cabal runs it all. And it's just like, man, you know, it really dawned on me today, just looking at it, how bad my views have gotten since Kobe Bryant died. Like I haven't been able to get any views on any videos for over 4 years now. Not since Kobe died. Well, actually, there was one exception. It was my videos on January 6th before it went down. They blew up the day after it went down because all my predictions were dead on, but then Google took down my channels for making those videos and said it was medical misinformation when it didn't have anything to do with medicine. It had to do with Jesuit Georgetown's June 12th, 2020 simulation of what would happen in the election and on January 6th. But yeah, it's just I realized the work was so on point when Kobe died. I mean, it was way on point before that, but we knew so much the day Kobe died. They're like, this shit has to get shut down. And it has been shut down. I've been grinding anyway, but to no avail. I mean, we've just been on a plateau. We're getting less views than ever. The work's never been more on point. So anyway, I am going to finish a bunch of children's books this year. If there's illustrators out there, I met one in the community who's a great illustrator. I'm planning on using him, but I'd like to find people who actually care about the work and are trying to make it come up. And again, the gentleman I know out here who draws very well and works efficiently and can get things done, he said it'd be $1,000 for every 10 drawings for a children's book, which to me seems pretty reasonable for his high quality work. But I'd be happy to do the same thing for anybody in the community who can get down on the same terms. $1,000. And again, we're talking about high quality, you guys. I mean, some of you, I love the effort, but like I look at the drawing, I'm like, man, I think I can do a better drawing than that. I want this stuff to look real good. You should know your limits. Like I would never volunteer my artist work for anybody's book because I'm not a very good artist. So again, I always appreciate the effort. But, you know, I don't want to break hearts and say, oh, no, sorry, this is nowhere near good enough. It's just you should know your talent level. I am looking for talented people to help me out with the illustrations for the books I plan to put out. And for those of you guys who are interested, you know, you could start thinking about right now. You can already imagine what my books would be about and what kind of drawings might fit in with the things I write about. So if you want to get ahead of the curve and get on my compass, if you'd like to participate in this illustrating project, like I'm seriously going to try to grind out a children's book a month. I'd like to have 10 of them out by November time November rolls around. But and again, I mean, it'll be hard to narrow it down to the top 10 because there's just great examples of things you could write a short story about every day. Like RJ Barrett, this thing's not going to make the cut, but at the same time, is it not worthy of it? I mean, this is a story worth being told. Yeah, I got to fix that screenshot. I can't believe I forgot to put basketball in there. Oh, it's right down here below, so I guess it is there. Oh, man. These people, the stuff they get away with. All right. I got to wrap this thing up. Spend some time with my sweet lady. Be good to your sweet lady out there. Oh, shout out to the truth seekers as well. Thank you for the donation, Carl. Always with the generosity. Thank you again, Nima. Also very generous. You definitely don't need to be making any more. I appreciate your ongoing generosity. Sheikh David says, what about this Zverev versus Alcaraz B invasion during their tennis match with Bill Gates in attendance? Man, he's been doing all these GMO insects too. Wow, really? Were any of the members of Wu-Tang in attendance? We know Old Dirty wasn't there. Or RIP. I'll look into that. I didn't know that happened, but it just takes me back to 2020 when, God, those were some of the sickest videos when he was doing the Bat Week and he was showing what a generous guy he is to pay Africans to get in a cage and get their blood sucked out of them by GMO mosquitoes. I was like, why doesn't he run this program in Seattle, like in the white neighborhoods? Wouldn't that be nice to help out some of the poor white people in Seattle with the GMO mosquitoes where they go in the tent and get a million bites? Like, look at the nice things we're doing for black African people. Look at my backdrop as we're going to talk about how we need to depopulate. Look at all the nice black African children back here in the backdrop. I'm Bill Gates. By the way, William Henry Gates 201, one of the co-sponsors of Event 201. Melinda Gates was from a family of Jesuit priests born on the same day as the Jesuit order, August 15th. What are the odds? They said Joe Rogan took a horse dewormer. Yeah, they did a lot of rituals with Joe Rogan. 54 was a rough year for him. Talk about a little Jesuit puppet. News radio equals 54. That's how he got famous on news radio. Then doing Fear Factor and UFC. If you guys do the overlap with UFC and Joe, you'll see it's the exact same in every cipher. And the first UFC that Joe Rogan was a part of was UFC 12. Look at that. UFC 30, 12, 51, 15. You want to know why Joe Rogan doesn't cover Gematria? Because it would show you what a puppet he is. He just benefits from the herd that just follows whatever they see on the TV. Whatever the rest of the herd's reportedly doing, they're doing. All right, you guys, we'll leave it there for now. And we actually have people in this stream. Hold up. There's people in I can't believe my eyes. We have 2,000 people in the stream. It's like the old days almost. Right when I said we couldn't get any more ratings, I guess people are tuned in for this one. Hold up. We got people in the stream. Here, I'm going to keep the stream going, but it's going to be through user participation just because maybe there's more people here listening that have more observations. But yeah, before I do go, the Patreon link's in the description. If you guys want to join us for the March Madness discussion, see if we can nail another March Madness. Last year, a lot of people won big on UConn. Here, before I go real quick and before I let people in the stream, here's what I'll do. I'm going to drop the link for people who'd like to join and add additional information. If we can get a panel of people that can talk and share and take turns, maybe we can get some more observations. But for people who weren't here last year, Gematria Effect Sports is down 6,000 subscribers since last March, and the channel just goes down every month. They really punished Gematria Effect Sports for what we revealed about March Madness. But UConn was one of our. We had about 7 narratives before the tournament began where 84 could play. Okay, we narrowed it down to about 7 out of the 68 teams who had an 84 narrative for the last year was the 84th tournament. Last year, UConn, of course, won it, their coach became 8-4 in the tournament, and his father's Jesuit educated, and Jesuit's 84. But one of the big rituals was they paused the UConn game in the opening round while they were on 84 points and took down the nets because supposedly there was a small snag in it. And I made a huge point to my community. I said, you guys, that's the biggest ritual in this opening round, taking down the nets at 84 points when it's the 84th tournament. We know they can get to 8-4. Just like the year before that, Kansas won the 83rd tournament. And again, they were the only team that scored 83 in the opening round. But anyway, last year, they kept showing you that Coke ad over and over during the tournament with the Hashim Tabit jersey. And you see how Hashim Thabit equals 120 in the most simple cipher? You go back and count up last year UConn's scores in March Madness. You'll see that in the 6 games they won by a total of 120 points in terms of the margin versus the 6 teams. 120 extra points. And the biggest blowout was the most obvious ritual against Gonzaga, the Jesuit school. God, let's not forget what they did with Gonzaga and Butler the other year and Elgin Baylor's death right before. Excuse me. When Gonzaga lost to Baylor in Indianapolis, where Butler is, with the coach of Baylor who went to Butler. It was the sickest 201 ritual there ever was. And again, it was 201 days after Elgin Baylor's birthday, and he just died at 86, and Baylor won it with 86 points. Elgin Baylor went to Seattle U, the other Jesuit school in Washington State. There's only 27 Jesuit universities in the whole nation, but Washington has 2 of them, like Georgetown, established the same year as George Washington, was the first. Anyway, again, they won by 120 total points. It was their 120th season. Huge 84 ritual. And again, they were just putting it in front of your face the whole tournament because you saw that Hashim Thabit Coke ad like a gazillion times. It was Coke, and then his jersey was just up on the wall, and the camera's zooming in on it at the beginning. Year after year, they're doing rituals like this. So, I didn't see anybody click the link to join. So if nobody does want to join and nobody has anything to add, I can also wrap this thing up. But yeah, if you got here late, please rewind. And please do hit the like and share. And again, if you got here late, we explained why this ritual with RJ Barrett's brother comes on Steph Curry's 36th birthday. RJ Barrett's playing in Toronto. Again, Steph Curry's father, Dell Curry, played for the Toronto Raptors. He met his wife in Toronto. He lost to the Raptors in the finals in the 72nd anniversary season. You could see the gematria for Toronto, 36, 72, 36. And again, Steph Curry played at Davidson in North Carolina, just like RJ Barrett played at Duke in North Carolina. And as this news broke of Nathan Barrett's death, the younger brother RJ Barrett, it was right at tip-off time of Duke versus North Carolina State Wolfpack for the ACC tournament. Couldn't be more blatant. And again, a whole lot more if you got here late, so go back. But I had to recap those points. Those are really the things to share with your family. If the gematria is too much for them, just maybe leave out the Steph Curry being 36 part. But at the same time, it's like, these people who just like do not understand this knowledge and just like, whatever, that's BS. It's just like, how's it BS? Nathan Barrett, 142, dead 142 days into the NBA season? You don't think that's weird? When we're documenting over and over? I mean, like every day? Oh, my God. It's just... Here, man, I'll show you how wicked it is. Why do I not get this guy up here? Is it too far down? Snap. I don't know why it's not coming up. I just put up a post about it earlier, but I can't scroll down. A former Red just died in a big Jesuit ritual too, man. It's okay. We'll leave it here. You guys can visit my website. Here, let me see how long it takes to scroll out. I just put out too much information. I can't even believe this post is this far buried down already. If you guys don't follow my website, I put out a ton of information here that I don't even have time to do videos on. This ritual they just did with Haiti's president. No, they assassinated the last one in a big Jesuit ritual. Then they put him in on the 201st day of the year. Then he's stepping down on the 72nd day of the year. This Civil War film that the trailer came out for 201 days after Alex Garland's birthday, when in history Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. They don't teach you that in your 13 years of slave school, pledging to 13 stripes, though. This thing with Princess Diana Day. Here, this guy, Bill Plummer. Bill Plummer, man. Look at this. Look at his name, William Plummer. He's dead on the 72nd day of the year. 72 is huge to the Jesuits, you guys. Again, President Biden and President Trump both equal 72. Both Jesuit educated. Biden lost his wife and daughter in a car crash in 72 right after he became senator-elect. And then when he was 72 years old, his son, Beau Biden, died 201 days before the Pope's birthday. And again, it's the first Jesuit Pope and the first living sweet 201, and his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 201, like Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan's 201. And that's the Jesuit priest from Georgetown who used to be the head of the school, who did the funeral for Beau Biden at 46 and the inauguration for Joe Biden as number 46 on 20/1 when January 20th is the 201st day of the nation's age. Again, that's how this knowledge, it just lets you see through everything that's going on. And then on this same day, Cincinnati's losing a former baseball player when Cincinnati's a big Jesuit city, Xavier. That's why they sent Joe Burrow there, after the Billy Cannon Cannonball ritual day. I mean, it's just. But yeah, William Plummer and the Jesuit order. And was that the day the Reds put up 19 runs? Hold up. Let me see that real quick. The other day the Reds scored 19, which was hilarious. Might have been the same day he died. Hold on. Where's the Reds at? No, actually the Reds got beat down that day. It must have been the next day. The next day was the anniversary of this was the anniversary of Pope Francis becoming the first Jesuit pope. And here's the thing about 19 in the Reds. The Reds have a lot of 19 rituals. It'd blow you away how many pitchers get their 19th win and loss, but we had to laugh at the Reds putting up 19 runs. And the thing about 19 is the old name for Jesus, the Roman name, Jesus, is 19. And the sun and the moon have a relationship with the earth that's on a 19-year cycle. And what is it about 19 that I'm forgetting right now? There's so many things about 19. And it's like, it's not an accident. There were 19 hijackers on 9/11 and 2 towers became 0 before they became 1. And the Quran code was discovered in 1968 that says it's centered on number 19. Same year 911 was made the code. World Trade Center construction began. The lead of the 19 hijackers, Muhammad Atta, was born that year. It's just, but yeah, I mean, again, you guys, this is, you learn these numbers and you'll see through everything in a way different way. You'll see how rigged the game is. It's and how much debt there is too. How much debt there is. Case in point, we're fresh off the Super Bowl, right? Just since we got people in the room, just things to know. Kansas City Chiefs, 172-64. Remember, Len Dawson, the Chiefs great, died 172 days before the Chiefs won Super Bowl 57, and Andy Reid got his 269th win in that game, the 57th prime. Len Dawson died on Kobe Bryant Day from Philly, and then they beat Philly in that Super Bowl on Lincoln's birthday, the first ever Super Bowl on Lincoln's birthday when Lincoln freed the slaves, and the Eagles playing Lincoln Financial Field. And then the next season, Norma Hunt of the Chiefs dies on June 4th before the Chiefs' 64th season that they go on to win the Super Bowl. And the day she died is the day in history that the 49ers franchise was founded, and they beat the 49ers. And then Missouri's the 24th state, and the Chiefs got their 24th win in the Super Bowl. And the year prior, Len Dawson died on the 24th of August, 24 days before Mahomes' birthday. And Mahomes started winning all those Super Bowls at age 24, a Sunday after number 24, Kobe Bean Bryant died. And remember, Kobe Bryant is 41, right? Kobe Bryant, 41, dead at 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. Then LeBron won the finals exactly 41 weeks after his own birthday on Father-Daughter Day. But you put his middle name in there, Kobe Bean Bryant, and his father was Joe Jelly Bean. Kobe Bean Bryant, 54, running in reverse 81, like the 81 he put up in his 666th game versus the Raptors. Now, R.J. Barrett's on the Raptors doing rituals on Curry's 36th birthday, when 666 is the 36th triangular number. You see how Mark of the Beast is said to be 666, right? 666. Mark of the Beast is 54 and 81, just like Kobe Bean Bryant's 54 and 81, who died the Sunday before Super Bowl 54, who can put up 81 in his 666th game. So, yeah, just to bring it back to basketball and how it's all connected and the cabal's controlling all these leagues and the news and the politicians and laying it all down every day on their calendar that they created. Because, again, the Illuminati is what? Something founded by a Jesuit. The calendar came from who? A Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt. The English language standardized with the 26-letter alphabet. Well, the English language traces back to the Catholic Church, and it was standardized at the exact same moment in the 16th century that the calendar was put out. Who do you think was putting the final touches on it and making sure it all lined up when they're doing their rituals on it day after day, synced up with the Pope? By the way, Pope equals 52 to go with the 52-week calendar. But yeah. Again, Curry's 36th birthday, you guys. 666, the 36th triangular number. Remember when Curry It's hard to stop, man, because it's just like, remember when Curry and Klay Thompson, who both had fathers in the league, Michael Thompson and Dell Curry, were beating Michael Jordan's win record. It was set at 72, right? And then they beat it at 73. Like Curry's born on the 73rd day of the year, and then he lost in the finals in the 73rd season, which was the 72nd anniversary season where Toronto won. But Curry set the win mark at 73, and that was the same day that Kobe played his last game against Utah, which was 213 days after the death of Moses Malone, who was drafted by Utah out of high school, like how Kobe was drafted out of high school and Kobe played in the 2-1-3. And Daryl Dawkins died that year at 58. Kobe Bryant equals 41 forwards, 58 in reverse. Moses Malone equals 41 forwards, 58 in reverse. Moses Malone, Daryl Dawkins, Philly connections, basketball stars, just like Kobe, dead right before that season. They even did Moses Malone on Caesar Borgia Day. Same day in history Tupac died. But and remember, Moses Malone did the Moses staff ad for Nike when Kobe was 4 years old. And then Kobe died 4 years after Moses Malone. And in Exodus 4, God turns Moses' staff into a snake. Kobe fell to fourth in points scored. The fourth book of the Bible's Numbers. 4 is associated with death. Exodus equals 74, like killing. Like here we are today on the 74th day of the year. Again, the killing number 74. Kobe dead in the 74 season. Exodus against 74, where the Moses and snake story comes together. Again, you guys, these people are using the Bible because it's the Catholic Church whose language we're speaking, whose calendar we're on, when all roads lead to Rome. They got to distract you at the Colosseum so you keep paying all your taxes, getting overcharged for everything. And because of the mind control, you're going into the rigged game and paying buku money to watch a rigged game and pay 4 times the price of all the food and drink and merchandise. It's like, for what? Because you just want to donate all your wealth that you didn't already give back to the government to their puppet show owners of their sports leagues? Whatever money you didn't have to pay to the government in taxes, you gave back in beer and in jerseys of men's names who don't care about you, who'd sacrifice their own brother. And I'm not saying R.J. Barrett wanted to do this, by the way, but what I choose to believe. I don't like to use the word believe, but what I choose to believe is that David Bowie song. David Bowie wrote the song "Rock and Roll Suicide," and David Bowie was out of here by the numbers too. Seemingly synced with the death of the Stone Temple Pilots singer who died around the same time. They both had album covers that were almost the exact same. Things we talked about long ago. R.I.P. to Prince, what they did to him, dying 201 days before Donald Trump won the election, dying on the Queen's birthday when he had the song Black Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's related to the royal family. Anyway, I'm getting off on too many tangents, but the David Bowie song, Rock and Roll Suicide, it's about how these young stars are too young to make the choices they're made to make. Is it like they don't realize that, like, when these adults in the room who are offering them all this money and fame are probably telling them they got to sell their soul, they probably think it's all a joke? Okay, whatever, I'll sell my soul. I never felt it anyway. Oh, snap, what happened to my brother? What happened to my mom, my dad, But yeah, the way they do it, you guys, is just abusive too. It's like they know that society's in a trance. That's how they can put it out. Everyone's watching literally everyone's like watching the Duke North Carolina State game. It's the biggest thing on sports, on TV in the moment in the sports world. And then the news is breaking on their phone. Oh man, I just got the TMZ update that R.J. Barrett's brother's dead. So anyway. A sweet lady just reminded me I need to get off. Thank you to Gematria Sense as well. They said 22 divided by 7. Yeah, indeed. For people don't know that. And if you write out 360, it equals 227. 22 divided by 7 is the mathematical shorthand of pi, which is 3.14, and it's right in the language. 22 divided by 7, 314. Most simple cipher. Good reminder. And again, pi has to do with the circle. There's 360 degrees, so it's funny when you write out 360. Here, I only got one hand to type, but here, I'll type it out. 22 divided by 7. Most simple cipher, 314, right? Pi, 3.14. 22 divided by 7, again, is the mathematical shorthand to give you pi, 3.14. 360. 227, like 22 divided by 7. Pi relates to the 360 degrees of the circle. And since baseball season's underway, geometry is 108 forwards and backwards, like Major League, like 108 double stitches on a baseball. Pay attention to that number this baseball season. Remember when we said when the Cubs were going to break the 108-year drought in the first World Series in Wrigley since 45 years? Exactly what they did. Oh, man. We said why that the 112th World Series would end on November 2nd in Game 7. And before the playoffs we said why they were going to do it against the Cleveland Indians, who are in the movie Major League with Charlie Sheen. But you see how mathematics is 112, like geometry is 108. The 112th World Series, they break the 108-year drought on November 2nd, 112. Anyway, there's only one person that joined the stream, and oh man, it's a big risk. It's a big risk to take this. I mean, it really, it's like, but I'm going to give this person another chance. I'm a person who gives 1,000 chances, but this person so often just brings the wackest decodes that just make the whole thing look stupid. And not always, though. They've had some good work, but just like they totally ruined my stream on Tony Bennett. I was just like, wow, that would just ruin the whole damn stream letting that person call in. All right. It's the man who tries to connect everything to Cam Newton, including the death of Tony Bennett. Again, Tony Bennett left his heart in San Francisco and died on the 202nd day of the year, and San Francisco equals 202. But you know what? Maybe there is a Cam Newton connection here because, God, he's connected to the Carolinas too. So let's see what happens this time. Maybe he's finally graduated and he's ready to just drop a bomb decode. All right. What's up, Joey?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good word for this decode, because it's a 9/11 decode. But because yesterday was 82-19 days after 9/11.
Wait a minute. I don't even know why we're going to yesterday when we're talking about the death of R.J. Barrett's brother.
Because you have a platform, and this decode needs to get out and reach.
Hold on, I got to change the audio settings so they can hear you. I'm already worried, but I'm gonna anyway. All right, sharing is caring. All right, what is it, Joey?
Yeah. So yesterday, Washington, University of Washington Huskies, they're based in Seattle. And yesterday was 8,219 days after 9/11. 8219.
I got it. Seattle's 82 and 19. Okay.
And so Washington got their 1,270th all-time loss. And I said that's going to happen 82-19 days, because Seattle 82-19, and buildings 1, 2, and 7 on 9/11. And Seattle is the firm Magnuson and Clementic. They're from Seattle, and
are you sick today? Do you have the cold?
Allergies.
Okay. Here, you never start at the right spot. You just had a Washington versus Washington State game where Washington became 9-11 in the Pac-12, and it was on a significant date. But yeah, for people who don't know, Seattle is connected to 9/11 because Boeing's from Seattle, and Magnuson Clementic Associates, and the guy who designed the World Trade Centers is a Japanese American from Seattle. But yeah, it's just, Joey, there's so many easy, you always try to connect these things like 82-19 days. I mean, I see what you're saying, but it's just like you never call in with just something. I mean, you have to understand the average person looks at and goes, well, I think it's a coincidence that's 142 days into the season and Nathan Barrett equals 142. And you're not like, I try to keep every decode like at that level, right? That's why you don't hear me going, because people are like, I'm not sure that's a reach. 82-19. Yeah, Seattle is 82-19, and 127 is similar to buildings 1, 2, but it's just, anytime I take the thing, it's like we're trying to really extend the decode, and it's like I want people to call in with other things going on that are as simple to grasp as this, and just so much more straightforward. We can remind that when Steph Curry set the 3-point record in New York City, his total threes were the same amount of casualties that they said were the people that died on 9/11, which is weird because again, the other things that were weird about Steph Curry setting a 3-point record was it was the day that Bill de Blasio told people to go out and get their 3rd COVID shot. And then again, it was the anniversary of both Sandy Hook and the first vaccinated person in the U.S., which was Sandy Lindsay. And again, just shots, like shots fired at Sandy Hook, shots fired at people's body through Pfizer and Moderna, and then 3-point shots, is Bill de Blasio saying, to get the third shot. But then who did Steph Curry pass? He passed Ray Allen, who played at Connecticut, also where the Sandy Hook school was, not far from New York. So, yeah, I mean, okay, it's just, I thought you were going to call him with something about Barrett, and I thought you were actually going to go to your routine Cam Newton with the Carolina thing, but you're calling in about like a totally, I guess it's college basketball. Oh, okay, what else is there to say about this?
Yeah. So that was yesterday.
Here, just stop. People in the chat who need to pull the wax out of their ears. Why is your comment Cam Newton not from Seattle? Who said Cam Newton was from Seattle? You guys who have like brains that process like a 1970 computer should stop commenting in the chat. No one said Cam Newton was from Seattle. Your brain might have been like catching up with the Cam Newton thing as we got onto Seattle. Just, God, somebody out there that's connected. Just go ahead, Joey.
We'll talk about the ACC tournament because it has to do with Duke. And it's in Washington, D.C. The ACC tournament's going on in D.C. this year.
Okay.
And Boston College, the day before yesterday, Wednesday, you had Boston College playing. And Boston College, their coach is 47 years old. And he got his 47th win with Boston College. And D.C. equals 47. And Boston College had 47 points at halftime. So I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's a lot. 47 and 47 land.
That's using the knowledge in a good way there. Yeah, we do call DC the 47 seed. Eddie, you see a ritual like that, a halftime score, there's still value in it. You're already thinking 47. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but on top of that, so there's always like a deeper aspect to these. I mean, you could have based the pick just on the 47 alone, but there was also a 9-11
Sure, and you could double down it. You could double down at halftime if you look at it as blackjack. You know, you get dealt the right cards in blackjack. You can double down. So,
but Boston College was playing Miami, and so yesterday was 82-19 days after 9/11. That means Wednesday was the 82-19 span.
8,219. We got it. Okay.
Yeah, the span was on Wednesday, and I noticed that Miami could get their 767th all-time loss, while Boston College got their 1,207th win, like 127 again. And of course, 767. How does 767 relate to 9/11?
Here's what I'm trying to think why they'd be doing this on the 73rd day of the year. The World Trade Center did open in 73 on April 4th, on the 5th anniversary of the MLK assassination. And by the way, that was the 94th day of the year, and World Trade Center equals 94, like terror. Okay.
Yeah, but Miami got their 767th all-time loss, like Boeing from Seattle, 82-19, 767. The 767th loss on 90. The reason they're doing this on the 72nd day of the year, because Wednesday was the 72nd day of the year. No. This happened on the 72nd day of the year. Hijacking equals 72. That's why they did it on that day. So, because hijacking. And of course, Boeing 767. So, but yeah, that's all I have, man. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Appreciate it. Okay. Well, he is persistent. And who else is persistent is the young guy. But again, this is also kind of what annoys me when I drop a link to join. It's like, I mean, I don't want to sound rude, but it's always the people joining the stream who I don't really want to join the stream. Like, where are the adults in the world? Where are the other thinking minds? Why are there not like 1 million people in this live stream helping contribute right now? Why if I go over to Tim Pool and they're talking about nothing like they talk about every day, just nothing but mainstream BS. There's like $5 gazillion in super chats and so many people in there. It's like, how's it even possible? Like, what has Tim Pool done for anybody? Become a sellout and vouch for the federal government, which he got famous opposing? It's like, why is he getting any support? We're dropping the most interesting fucking information in the history of the world every single day. And again, just tiny financial support, like hardly, like if Tim Pool opened the line, he'd have 1 million people that want to get in and contribute and say something. I got Joey, who I'd rather not come on, and the young guy. And I don't mind the young guy, but it's like, I know he's not going to come on and talk about anything basketball related. He's probably going to come on and remind me what he texted me that I haven't responded to. Yeah, it's just anyway. What's up, young guy? I appreciate your persistence too. I'm just saying, where's the adults at? You're barely legal. What's up?
Well, I mean, I don't think that any of the adults are probably gonna make it into the world that we're gonna see unfolding. It's more like what I'm gonna grow up into. But I had found something pretty interesting thanks to one of the trolls. It was something I stumbled upon. You know that the very first documented use of gematria in the English language was by a Catholic poet named John Skelton. In his in 1522. I mean, sorry, 1523. And he died on June 21st, 1529, and it was a date with 44 the kill date. It was 44 date numerology, but it was also 26 and 56 date numerology. 56 like Society of Jesus.
We don't even need all this part. The point is there. Again, we've already been documenting that it's so obvious it all goes back to the church and the Jesuits. But yeah, we have talked about John Skelton in the past.
Oh shit, really? Yeah, I checked all the posts and I didn't see it on either of your blogs.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about John Skelton in the past. And yeah, again, all the fingerprints are there. It's so obvious who set up this system and is carrying out these rituals day after day. And yeah, that's the other thing that's annoying too. It's just like the only conversation that's happening in the world about my work each day are by trolls. Like trolls are putting out constant content to try and slander and demean the work. It's just like, what kind of world do we live in? Like literally the only content being created in the world outside of my work about my work is by trolls. It's like that's the thing. It's like evil is so much more persistent and consistent than the rest of humanity. And I guess that's why we are where we are. So
yeah. And also for all the viewers on Twitter and stuff, you guys can find more about this on Spotify. Wake the Fuck Up Radio. It's a podcast. Everybody can listen to that. And of course, we're live streaming on YouTube too, on GematriaEffectNews 25 with Zachary K. Hubbard. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there so that way people could support.
All right. Well, I appreciate coming on. And yeah, I'll remind that there is a podcast. It's got 3 episodes up, Wake the Fuck Up Radio. And again, about this death today on the 74th day of the year. This second episode, Gematria, the best kept secret of the English language, is largely focused on 74 and killing. Because again, it's something we've talked about a million times. And it happens all the time. And there's an endless catalog of examples, sadly. And again, this is a young man is just dead at 74, who's the younger brother of a huge star in the basketball world, one of the best young players.
You mean 24?
Huh?
You mean 24? You said he died at 74.
Did I say he died on the 74th day of the year?
No, he said he died at age 74.
Did I say 74? I thought I said on the 74th day of the year. Okay, but yeah, dead on the 74th day of the year. So
yeah. Yeah, and that's how it is with all this entertainment. I mean, always constantly there's all these young people that they're, in their 20s or whatever, constantly dropping like flies, like as if they're like in 90-year-old people in nursing homes. And I mean, you basically never see this. And there's also, what also annoys me is that there's a lot of people, oh, it's the injection that all these people are dying. It's like, no, we've been covering this for years before any of that stuff happened.
Hey, let's not forget that they simulated the injection on the day leaving 74 days left in the year. And they did it right after the death of Kerry Mullis, who did die at age 74, who was the guy who invented the PCR test and said Anthony Fauci was a fraud, who was unwilling to debate him. Again, if that guy was alive, Kerry Mullis, who died right before it all went down, he would have been here to expose it better than anyone, and he would have the credentials. He'd say, listen, that's my test. I invented that test, and Anthony Fauci's been abusing it for decades for the sake of putting money in people's pockets. Yeah. Again, listen to what Kerry Mullis said in the 90s about Anthony Fauci using the PCR test in an incorrect manner to prove the diagnosis of anything if he got paid enough for it.
Yeah, and as I was saying, like we've been documenting for years that all these entertainers have been always dropping like flies. It's not because of the whatever you can't say on YouTube or you'll get removed, But this has been happening for years. All these entertainers dying by the numbers. Prince is another one that's dying by the numbers, and that's another thing that they always do. Oh, they always die of an overdose. And that's like the easiest thing. Nobody bats an eye when these people die of an overdose. So it's just we see the same thing, and these people all have people dying all around them. All these entertainers, Joe Biden, he has had so many deaths in his family. I mean, most of us have not had so many deaths in the family, especially a lot of these people so young, that both of their parents are dead. And then that's another thing, both of their parents are dead. And it's like, are these athletes really, are these athletes being farmed, genetically farmed? We know that even Putin made a reference to, they're genetically creating like athletes and scientists and stuff. And I mean, of course that they just glossed over that, but it's we see what the game's all about. And that was pretty much all I wanted to come on and say.
All right. Well, I appreciate what you brought to the stream. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to going on the podcast, and also I'm using the new mic that you got me.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I know you'll put it to good use.
Yeah.
All right. Keep it up, young one.
All right, bye.
All right, take care. Yeah, it's just there's so many examples of 74 and death. And speaking of the Carolinas, and what we're talking about today, RJ Barrett with his Carolinas connection, Steph Curry with the Carolinas connection. Let's not forget Jordan with the Carolinas connection. Remember, his dad died 33 days from him winning his third finals, and he died at the intersection of Route 74, and Route 95. You guys don't know that about Jordan's father. Look, he died on Route 74 and 95. Again, killing 74. Seriously, if you have time, find this podcast, Wake the Fuck Up Radio with Zachary K. Hubbard, and listen to the second episode where it says Gematria's energy in the thumbnail. Big point about 74 and killing. And I could have gave a million more examples, but, Jordan's in that list. Kobe's in that list in the 74th season. Who's got the Carolina connection, again, being drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. But yeah, I do got to wrap it up. I got to go give attention to Sweet Lady, like I said minutes ago. I saw we had an audience, though. Then I want to make sure some information's dropped out there because it's hard to get an audience these days. No one gets notifications. People get unsubbed. Haven't had a big video since 4 years ago. It's crazy. Every one of these videos should be going out big. So yeah, RIP to Nathan Barrett, and I hope the world does wake the fuck up, man. People should stop buying tickets to these damn games. I don't care if you like basketball. I love basketball. I grew up as a Portland Trailblazer fan because I didn't know any better as a little kid until I saw the games were rigged. I started to see the games were rigged when I was a kid. I didn't realize they were killing everybody, but then I started to ask questions when all my favorite Blazers started to die at a young age. Kevin Duckworth, Jerome Kersey, Cliff Robinson. Who am I forgetting? There's been more. And it's happened to all teams and franchises. People remember Kobe because he was larger than life, but there's a lot of these players from these leagues that died real young. And you go in and you pay for that ticket and pay for that overpriced beer and jersey, you're putting money in the pockets of the people who are doing this. And if you think that's okay, I'll tell you what, some people do think that's okay. When I was at the All-Star game this year, when I was at the All-Star game in Seattle, that was an easy call. It was on July 11th, and the East won for the first time in 11 years. I'm trying to remember the rest of the ritual. Guerrero Jr. came into that home run derby with 117 career home runs and won the derby like his father did in the Mariners building when the last father-son tandem in sports were the Griffeys. They better look out, man. But, yeah, when I was out there educating those Seattle people about all the rituals and rigged sports and the death, I had this Christian guy come up to me, and he's like, what's the point of all this? Like, what's the point? And I was like, to me, it's like the point's self-evident. Like, if I was listening to me talk on the street and I didn't hear about this, I wouldn't be like, well, what's the point? I'd be like, shit, man, you talking about how rigged the game is and they're killing people? I wouldn't march up to him and be like, what's the point of what you're saying? But again, these are the IQs that exist in our society. So I said to him, well, the point of what I'm saying is that you understand that these games are rigged and they're literally murdering people. And he's like, well, do you believe in Jesus? That's what he came back with. Do you believe in Jesus? I was like, well, I was raised Lutheran, and I don't really consider myself Christian or a believer anymore, but I think we should all live by the golden rule. I consider myself spiritual. He's like, well, I believe in Jesus. Essentially, just to condense our conversation is short. He believed in Jesus. He's like, so my sins are forgiven. So even if that is happening, I can still go in there and enjoy the game. And I was like, see, this is exactly why when I was 12, I left the Christian church, because this is what I saw, just a bunch of morons. You think it's okay to go into a baseball stadium if you have evidence that they're literally murdering the players and support that and pay for that ticket? You think that's okay because you believe in Jesus and you're going to be forgiven? See, that's why this religion made so many people wackadoodle in the brain. It's like, no, human being, they're murdering people. You should not support this. You can believe in Jesus. That's fine. You think if Jesus was here talking to you, you think you'd be like, yeah, go in there, son, because you believe in me. It's okay. Yeah, they're going to murder some more players this year. Some more fathers and daughters and mothers and everybody else. Unsuspecting fans, as they seem to do a few times a year. Always the weird story about the fan who fell late after the game from the high rise. It's a mystery right now. It's like, guy might have been too drunk and his buddies might have left him. Might have been there on the 74 date. Now look at him. He's getting dropped on his head from 150 feet up. And the headlines, police said nothing suspicious. Did you notice their logo, the fraternal order with all the Masonic symbolism on it? What secrets? What conspiracies? It's like, dude, you live in a nation founded by secret societies, and they don't even teach you about that in your 13 years of slave school, and then you end up like my sister, and you think Freemasonry is not even a real thing. I bring up Freemasonry to my sister. I definitely can't talk to her about the Jesuits because her oldest son went to a Jesuit university. And again, you can go to a Jesuit university. They're some of the top schools. But it doesn't mean that it's all above board, as we're showing. So yeah, anyway, I do need to get off Truth Seeker, but thank you for everyone who tuned in. It's nice to see a big audience. And if you guys do want to support the work, man, I'd love to see it come up. Since we went out and pounded pavement all across the nation, from Seattle down to Oklahoma City up to New York, getting the word out about big rituals in this nation, from what went down on April 19th, Ignatius Loyola Day, to what went down on September 11th, 9/11. Really? Again, my support's been cut way off, and we haven't been able to get it back up. And that's another thing. It's like, the better the work gets, the less financial support, the less viewership. So if you are here and you see that what I'm saying today is important, help me come back up. That'll motivate me to finish all the books I got sitting on the back burner. I haven't finished shit the last 4 years because I have no motivation. I feel like it's automatically going to fail with the lack of exposure and support. But yeah, if you're out there today and you thought this video was important, all the ways to support this work are in the description of the video. And a lot of people will be like, I don't want to click on the description of the video. Well, if that's you, then thank you anyway. At least hit the like on the way out, please. Feel free to sub and see if your sub lasts more than a week before they unsubscribe you. See if the channel will last another week. You just never know when they're going to delete the next one. We had 4 channels about 4 months ago. Now we're down to 2. All right, True Seeker, I am out. Thank you again to everyone who's liking the share. Thank you to the people who support the work. And yeah, you can download my books for free, like I said earlier, or you can support the ebooks on my website. Again, if you want to read more about this, I encourage you to search Zachary K. Hubbard, letters and numbers, number games, and type in Subscribestar. That's the page to go to download the ebooks in their entirety for free. You don't have to do anything other than just click the links to download and know where your download folder is. And then if you download it to your phone and you can't read it, just download Adobe PDF Reader, the free version, and then you'll be able to read it. So, but your phone probably already has that on it. So, or if you already have an ebook reader on there, it'll work just like that too. All right, I'm out, True Seeker. Till next time.